The city of Everdale sparkled with wealth and ambition, but behind its glowing skyline were people who lived in shadows, forgotten by those who walked in marble halls. One such soul was Marisol Vega, a quiet, hard-working maid in the mansion of Ethan Crosswell, one of the youngest billionaires in town. Ethan was known everywhere, on magazine covers, at grand business galas, and in news headlines for his wealth. But Marisol, to him, was just the gentle presence who polished the chandeliers, folded linens, and disappeared into the background of his busy life. What no one saw, however, was Marisol's struggle. Every night after work, she counted the few dollars she had, often choosing between bus fare or a proper meal. Still, she carried a dream. Maybe, just maybe, one day someone would see her not as a maid, but as a woman worth loving. That hope led her to a blind date at a modest cafe one evening. She had saved for weeks just to buy a simple dress and tucked away exactly 5 crumpled dollars into her small purse. That was all she had left. The man she was supposed to meet was Damien Holt, a wealthy banker's son with a reputation for arrogance. He didn't come looking for love. He came because his friends dared him. When Marisol arrived, she smiled nervously and greeted him. "Hello. You must be Damien." Damien leaned back, smirking, and glanced at her modest dress. "You're the one they matched me with? You look like you work in, well, let's just say not where I dine." His laughter cut through her like glass. Trying to keep the moment alive, Marisol ordered a small cup of coffee. She placed her $5 on the counter with shaking hands. Damien's voice rose so others could hear. "That's it? You only brought $5? You expected me to pay for the meal, didn't you? You're pathetic." The cafe grew silent. A few people whispered. Marisol's face burned with humiliation. She wanted to disappear into the floor. And in the corner, unseen by her, Ethan Crosswell, her billionaire employer, was there. He had come for a quiet coffee after a long day. He saw everything. The mockery, the shame, the way Marisol's trembling hands folded around her purse as she whispered, "I'm sorry. Maybe this was a mistake." Ethan's jaw tightened. In that moment, something shifted in him. He had lived among luxury his whole life, yet he had never felt the sting of being looked down upon for simply being poor. Watching Marisol, loyal, hard-working Marisol, reduced to tears over a $5 bill was like a knife to his heart. But Ethan didn't rush in just yet. He wanted to see how Marisol would handle herself. To everyone's surprise, Marisol stood up. She looked Damien in the eye, her voice shaky but firm, and said, "Maybe I don't have much, but at least I have dignity, something money can't buy." She turned and walked out of the cafe, clutching her purse tightly. Ethan watched her go, his mind racing. For the first time in years, he didn't think about profits, investments, or business deals. He thought about her, about what she must go through every day. He knew one thing for certain. This wasn't the end of Marisol's story. Not if he had anything to do with it. And what Ethan Crosswell did next would change Marisol's life forever. The next morning, Marisol entered Ethan's mansion as usual. She kept her eyes low, praying he hadn't seen her humiliation. She felt like her heart had shattered in that cafe. But Ethan was waiting. Instead of giving her the usual polite nod, he called her gently, "Marisol, can we talk?" Her heart skipped. Had she done something wrong at work? She nodded nervously, wiping her hands on her apron. Ethan looked at her carefully. "I was at the cafe yesterday." Marisol froze, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She wanted the ground to swallow her whole. You saw that?" "I did," Ethan said softly. "And I saw a woman who deserves more than ridicule. Marisol, you work harder than anyone I know. And yesterday, you showed more courage than that man ever could." Tears welled in her eyes. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Not with respect. Not with kindness. Ethan continued, "I can't stand by and let you believe you're worth only $5. You're worth more than diamonds, Marisol. And I intend to prove it." First, she didn't understand. But over the weeks that followed, Ethan quietly began to change her life. He paid off her mother's hospital bills anonymously. He enrolled her younger brother in school. He even arranged for Marisol to attend evening classes because she once confessed she had dreamed of studying literature. But most importantly, Ethan treated her with dignity. He listened when she spoke. He encouraged her when she doubted herself. Slowly, Marisol's spirit, once buried under years of poverty, began to bloom. One evening, Ethan invited her to a charity gala. She hesitated, fearing she wouldn't fit in. But he smiled. "Trust me, you belong there more than anyone." Wearing a simple but elegant gown he had gifted her, Marisol walked into that grand hall. The same city that once ignored her now turned their heads in awe. She held herself tall, not because of the dress, but because she finally believed what Ethan had seen all along, her worth. At the gala, a familiar voice sneered, "Marisol? You?" It was Damien, the man who humiliated her. He nearly choked when he saw her standing beside Ethan Croswell. But this time, Marisol didn't flinch. She looked him in the eye and said calmly, "Money doesn't define respect. Character does." And she walked away with Ethan by her side. That night, Ethan whispered to her, "You changed me, Marisol. I thought I was the one helping you, but you showed me the true value of kindness. That is wealth no fortune can buy." Marisol's journey wasn't just about a billionaire's help. It was about discovering her own strength when the world tried to break her. And together, they proved that the smallest act of kindness can rewrite an entire destiny.